we're talking about Unit 10, Belisi and Lenny, and we're going to talk about I-stem third declension nouns of the type polis, and U-stem third declension nouns of the type basileus. These are also, all of them, huge classes of nouns. And because the stem ends with a vowel, an I in one case and a U in the other, what happens is that I, when it's in between vowels, when there's a consonant after it, it remains. When it's in between vowels, it turned into a Y, so it went away. And the same happened with U. When there's a consonant after it, it remains, so we have a noun there with a U. But then it turns into a W when there's a vowel on the other side of it, so it will disappear. So this is the kind of thing that massively changes the way in which the forms look. Okay, but let's start with the word polis. Let me show you the inflections of it in the singular. Polis is a. Before we start, let's talk about polis, because this is a really important word in this culture. It's the word for city-state. Okay, the dictionary translates, the vocabulary translates it city. It's not right. It's not a city in our sense of the word. It's a whole cultural construct. And there are all kinds of different kinds of city-states in ancient Greece. There are people in Denmark who've been studying Greek city-states for 9 to 50 years and published tons of volumes about them all. But in any case, it's a complex construct, but it's not a city in the form that we know it. So it's a city with land around it. There could be a central area. There can be a whole bunch of. There are Greek city-states in which you don't even have a central city. It's just a bunch of communities and stuff like that. So there are various types, but this is the word for them, and that's the nominative singular of it. Now we see the I in the stem, in the accusative, Paulin. Okay, notice that's one of the third declension endings that we learned. Remember, we learned that when we were reviewing a moment ago the endings of the third declension. We talked about the accusative being an alpha, but that's just a thing that happens when in most of the cases when the stem ends with a consonant. When the stem ends with a vowel, you can see the N that originally was the alpha is what the N turns into when it can't remain there. So what happens then is that you get a genitive and a dative that don't have any iotas in them. So the genitive is poleos. Now look at the accent of this. This is really strange. You've got an acute accent on the first syllable. In other words, it's consistent, but it looks like you've got, and then the dative is pole with an acute accent again on the first syllable, where you would want it to be. But it looks like you've got an accent on the third to last syllable of a noun, in which the last syllable is long, which breaks the rules. Okay, probably the pronunciation was polios. Okay, something in between a diphthong and two separate sounds, so that mitigated this, but it's a result of a sound change. There's a separate vocative for these S stems, and that's just poly without the S. Okay, remember we've said that the S is the nominative ending. You can see it pretty clearly there. The vocative is just the plain stem of the I stem without any ending at all. So, and in the plural, other things have happened. Okay, so let's look at that. The nominative plural is polis, EIS with a circumflex, and the accusative plural. Whoops, it doesn't have a circumflex. That's wrong. It has an acute. Sorry, the acute is persistent all the way through the paradigm, and so is the accusative plural, polis. Okay, this is a feature that's actually with dialectal Greek. Some Greek dialects do have the as accusative plural ending for nouns like this, but most of them don't. So it's the same as you see in Latin, for example. Omnes is the nominative plural for I stems, and it's also the accusative plural. So the accusative plural is polis as well. Okay, it's a very old thing that these nominative and accusatives are the same. And then again, the dative and the accusative are going to be palaon with an acute accent on the first syllable consistently, and then palese for the dative plural. The I is going away because what's happened is it's disappeared, turned into a Y and disappeared. So again, you can have a new one there. Right? So again, we face a problem here. How much do these things look like the standard third declension nouns?
I mean, pretty much.
Pretty much,
Yeah.
okay. The basic thing is there. We're aiming at recognition. I think, you know, what you want to be sure of is that you can tell what these are. I don't think, you know, if you're into memorizing, it's good to memorize polis, polyos, polypollen. How long does it take? And then keep on, you know, making sure you know what's going on there. Okay, but let's leave the judgment call on these up to you. But I at least still recommend that you memorize it. Okay, see
Me
if you
too.
can. Yeah.
This word is everywhere, so it's
Yeah,
worth recognizing.
there are a bazillion of these. The most common nouns in IS are actually cis nouns. For example, the nouns of the type pausis. You have the verb pauo, and you have a noun pausis, pauseos, like polis, polaos. Okay,
Yes.
which means this verb, you may remember, means stop. The word pausis gives us the English word pause. Okay, so it means the process of stopping. So we can take any Greek verb and stick cis on the end of it, and it means the process of doing it. So there are a gazillion million of them, okay, for example. And therefore, you can't get away from it, and you'll get really familiar with this type. The second type that's like this is the U stems, and the standard example noun is the noun basileus, the word for king, okay? This is already got an acute accent there, and the nominative singular is basileus, the genitive singular is basileos, okay? Again, we're going through these situations where you have changes, and like with polyos, there the ending of the stem is in a U, okay, but the U that was there turns into a W and disappeared, so that's why you got no U there, and basile is the dative, okay, and then the accusative is basilea, all right. Really weird. Basileo with an acute accent, okay, and vocative is basileo, O-S, okay, circumflex. So this is the word for king in Greek. Yeah, there are no historical, well, next to no historical kings in ancient Greece. Okay, the only Greek city-states that have kings is in Sparta, where there are two of them, which doesn't work with our concept of king. Right? You know, they worked in common, and sometimes they killed each other. But anyhow, this is it's a historical or mythological concept, kings in Greece, basically, not a realistic one. So let's look at the plural of these. You get basileis is the accusative nominative plural, EIS, and so it's like polis, okay? Again, and it's basil. Yep, the accent is different. It's going to be on the final vowel possible. Basileon is like polis, but again, the accent's going to be on the epsilon, not on the previous syllable. Basileuse, okay, makes sense if you think there's your basileo, and you're adding the si. That's the only form that sort of looks regular, and the circumflex over the u, and then basileas, and basile. So that is the form you got here. Yeah. Some it's preserved a different form, but there you are. So this is the last of the types of third declension nouns in this lesson. So we got kinship terms, I stems, S stems, and U stems. Okay. And again, the S stems, the U stems, and the I stems represent huge classes. So we recommend memorizing